Chapter 1. Kenna. There's a small wooden cross staked into the ground on the side of the road with the date of his death written on it. Scotty would hate it. I bet his mother put it there. Can you pull over? The driver slows down and brings the cab to a stop. I get out and walk back to where the cross is. I shake it side to side until the dirt loosens around it, and then I pull it out of the ground. Did he die in this very spot? Or did he die in the road? I didn't pay attention to the details during the pre-trial. When I heard he had crawled several yards away from the car, I started humming so I wouldn't hear anything else the prosecutor said. Then, to avoid having to sit through details if the case went to trial, I pleaded guilty. Because technically, I was. I may not have killed him with my actions, but I definitely killed him with my inaction. I thought you were dead, Scotty. But dead people can't crawl. I walk back to the cab with the cross in hand. I set it on the back seat next to me and wait for the driver to pull back onto the road. But he doesn't. I glance at him in the rearview mirror, and he's staring at me with a raised brow. Stealing roadside memorials has to be some kind of bad karma. You sure you want to take that? I look away from him and lie. Yes, I'm the one who put it there. I can still feel him staring at me as he pulls back onto the road. My new apartment is only 2 miles from here, but it's in the opposite direction from where I used to live. I don't have a car, so I decided to find a place closer to downtown this time so I can walk to work. If I can even find a job. It'll be difficult with my history and lack of experience. And, according to the cab driver, the bad karma I'm probably carrying around right now. Stealing Scotty's memorial might be bad karma, but one could argue that leaving a memorial up for a guy who verbally expressed his hatred for roadside memorials could be bad karma as well. That's why I had the driver take the detour down this back road. I knew Grace probably left something at the location of the wreck, and I felt I owed it to Scotty to remove it. Cash or card? The driver asks. I look at the meter and pull cash and a tip out of my purse and hand it to him after he parks. Then I grab my suitcase and the wooden cross I just stole and make my way out of the cab and up to the building. My new apartment isn't part of a huge complex. It's just a single standing unit flanked by an abandoned car lot on one side and a convenience store on the other. Plywood covers a downstairs window. Beer cans in various stages of decay litter the property. I kick one aside so that it doesn't get stuck in the wheels of my suitcase. The place looks even worse than it did online, but I expected as much. The landlord didn't even ask for my name when I called to see if they had any vacancies. She said, "We always have vacancies. Bring cash. I'm in apartment 1. Then she hung up. I knock on apartment 1. There's a cat in the window staring at me. It's so motionless I start to wonder if it's a statue, but then it blinks and slinks away. The door opens, and an older, tiny woman stares up at me with a disgruntled look about her. She has curlers in her hair and lipstick smeared to her nose. I don't need anything you're selling. I stare at the lipstick, noting how it's bleeding into the wrinkles hugging her mouth. I called last week about an apartment. You said you'd have one available? Recognition flashes on the woman's prune-like face. She makes a sound while looking me up and down. Didn't expect you to look like this. I don't know what to make of her comment. I look down at my jeans and t-shirt while she walks away from the door for a few seconds. She comes back with a zipper pouch. $5.50 a month. First and last month's rent is due today. I count out the money and hand it to her. There's no lease? She laughs, stuffing the cash into her pouch. You're in apartment 6. She points a finger up. That's right above me, so keep it down. I go to bed early. What utilities are included? Water and trash, but you cover electric. It's on now. You have 3 days to get it switched into your name. Deposit is $250 to the light company. Fuck. 3 days to come up with $250? I'm starting to question my decision to come back so soon. But when I was released from transitional housing, I had two choices: spend all my money trying to survive in that town, or drive the 300 miles and spend all my money in this one. I'd rather be in the town that holds all the people once connected to Scotty. The woman takes a step back into her apartment. Welcome to Paradise Apartments. I'll bring you a kitten once you get settled. I immediately put my hand on her door to prevent her from closing it. Wait, what? A kitten? Yeah, a kitten. Like a cat, but smaller. I step away from her door like it'll somehow protect me from what she just said. No, thank you. I don't want a kitten. I have too many. I don't want a kitten, I repeat. Who wouldn't want a kitten? Me. She huffs, like my response is completely unreasonable. I'll make you a deal, she says. I'll leave the electric on for 2 weeks if you take a kitten. What in the hell kind of place is this? Fine, she says, responding to my silence as if it's a negotiation tactic. The month. I'll leave the electric on for the whole month if you just take one kitten. She walks into her apartment, but leaves the door open. I don't want a kitten at all. Ever. But not having to spend $250 on an electricity deposit this month would be worth several kittens. She reappears with a small black and orange kitten. She places it in my hands. There you go. My name is Ruth if you need anything, but try not to need anything. She goes to close her door again. Wait! Can you tell me where I can find a payphone? She chuckles. Yeah, back in 2005. She closes her door completely. The kitten meows, but it's not a sweet meow. It sounds more like a cry for help. You and me both, I mutter. I make my way toward the stairs with my suitcase and my kitten. Maybe I should have held out a few more months before coming back here. I worked to save up just over $2,000, but most of that was spent on moving here. I should have saved up more. What if I don't find a job right away? And now I'm tasked with the responsibility of keeping a kitten alive. My life just became 10 times more difficult than it was yesterday. I make it up to the apartment with the kitten clinging to my shirt. I insert the key in the lock and have to use both hands to pull on the door and get the key to turn. When I push open the door to my new apartment, I hold my breath, afraid of what it's going to smell like. I flip on the light switch and look around, releasing my breath slowly. There's not much of a smell. That's both good and bad. There's a couch in the living room, but that's literally all there is. A small living room, an even smaller kitchen, no dining room, no bedroom. It's an efficiency apartment with a closet and a bathroom so small, the toilet touches the tub. The place is a dump. A 500-square-foot absolute shithole. But it's a step up for me. I've gone from sharing a 100-square-foot cell with a roommate to living in transitional housing with 6 roommates to a 500-square-foot apartment I can call my own. I'm 26 years old, and this is the first time I've ever officially lived somewhere alone. It's both terrifying and liberating. I don't know if I can afford this place after the month is up, but I'm going to try, even if that means applying to every business I walk past. Having my own apartment can only serve to help as I plead my case to the Landrys. It'll show I'm independent now, even if that independence will be a struggle. The kitten wants down, so I put her on the floor in the living room. She walks around, crying out for whoever she left downstairs. I feel a pang in my chest as I watch her searching corners for a way out, a way back home, a way back to her mother and siblings. She looks like a bumblebee or something out of Halloween with her black and orange splotches. What are we going to name you? I know she'll more than likely be nameless for a few days while I think about it. I take the responsibility of naming things very seriously. The last time I was responsible for naming someone, I took it more seriously than I've ever taken anything. That could have been because the whole time I sat in my cell during my pregnancy, all there was to do was think about baby names. I chose the name DM because I knew as soon as I was released, I was going to make my way back here and do everything in my power to find her. Here I am. Carpe diem. Chapter 2. Ledger. I'm pulling my truck into the alley behind the bar when I notice the nail polish still on the fingernails of my right hand. Shit. I forgot I played dress-up with a 4-year-old last night. At least the purple matches my work shirt. Roman is tossing bags of trash into the dumpster when I exit the truck. He sees the gift sack in my hand and knows it's for him, so he reaches for it. Let me guess. Coffee mug? He peeks inside. It's a coffee mug. It always is. He doesn't say thank you. He never does. We don't acknowledge the sobriety these mugs symbolize, but I buy him one every Friday. This is the 96th mug I've bought him. I should probably stop because his apartment is full of coffee mugs, but I'm too far in to give up now. He's almost at 100 weeks sober, and I've been holding on to that 100th milestone mug for a while now. It's a Denver Broncos mug, his least favorite team. Roman gestures toward the back door of the bar. There's a couple inside harassing other customers. You might want to keep an eye on them. That's odd. We don't normally have to deal with unruly people this early in the evening. It isn't even 6 o'clock yet. Where are they sitting? Next to the jukebox. His eyes fall to my hand. Nice nails, man. Right? I hold up my hand and wiggle my fingers. She did pretty good for a 4-year-old. I open the back door of the bar and am met with the grating sound of my favorite song being slaughtered by ugly Kid Joe through the loudspeakers. Surely not. I walk through the kitchen and into the bar and immediately spot them. They're hunched over the jukebox. I quietly make my way over to them and see she's punching in the same 4 numbers again and again. I look over their shoulders at the screen while they giggle like mischievous children. Cats in the Cradle is set to play 36 times in a row. I clear my throat. You think this is funny? Forcing me to listen to the same song for the next 6 hours? My father spins around when he hears my voice. Ledger. He pulls me in for a hug. He smells like beer and motor oil. And limes, maybe? Are they drunk? My mother backs away from the jukebox. We were trying to fix it. We didn't do this. Sure you didn't. I pull her in for a hug. They never announce when they're going to show up. They just appear and stay a day or 2 or 3 and then head out in their RV again. Their showing up drunk is new, though. I glance over my shoulder and Roman is behind the bar now. I point to my parents. Did you do this to them, or did they show up this way? Roman shrugs. A little of both. It's our anniversary, my mother says. We're celebrating. I hope you guys didn't drive here. We didn't, my father says. Our car is with the RV in the shop getting routine maintenance, so we took a lift. He pats my cheek. Wanted to see you, but we've been here 2 hours waiting for you to show up, and now we're leaving because we're hungry. This is why you should warn me before you drop into town. I have a life. Did you remember our anniversary? My father asks. Slipped my mind. Sorry. Told you, he says to my mother. Pay up, Robin. My mother reaches into her pocket and hands him a $10 bill. They bet on almost everything. My love life, which holidays I'll remember, every football game I've ever played. But I'm almost positive they've just been passing the same $10 bill back and forth for several years. My father holds up his empty glass and shakes it. Get us a refill, bartender. I take his glass. How about an ice water? I leave them at the jukebox and make my way behind the bar. I'm pouring 2 glasses of water when a girl walks into the bar looking somewhat lost. She glances around the room like she's never been here before. And then, when she notices an empty corner at the opposite end of the bar, she makes a beeline for it. I stare at her the entire time she's walking through the bar. I stare at her so hard, I accidentally overfill the glasses and water goes everywhere. I grab a towel and wipe up my mess. When I look at my mother, she's looking at the girl, then at me, then at the girl. Shit. The last thing I need is for her to try to set me up with a customer. She tries to play matchmaker plenty when she's sober, so I can't imagine how bad the tendency might be after a few drinks. I need to get them out of here. I take the waters to them and then hand my mother my credit card. You guys should go down to Jake's Steakhouse and have dinner on me. Walk there so you can sober up on the way. You are so nice. She clutches at her chest dramatically and looks at my father. Benji, we did so well with him. Let's go celebrate our parenting with his credit card. We did do well with him, my father says in agreement. We should have more kids. Menopause, honey. Remember when I hated you for an entire year? My mother grabs her purse, and they take the glasses of water with them as they go. We should get ribeye since he's paying, my father mutters as they walk away. I release a sigh of relief and then make my way back to the bar. The girl is tucked quietly into the corner, writing in a notebook. Roman isn't behind the bar right now, so I'm assuming no one has taken her order yet. I gladly volunteer as tribute. What can I get you? I ask her. Water and a Diet Coke, please. She doesn't look up at me, so I back away to fulfill her order. She's still writing in her notebook when I return with her drinks. I try to get a glimpse of what she's writing, but she closes her notebook and lifts her eyes. Thank... She pauses in the middle of what I think is her attempt at saying thank you. She mutters the word, you, and sticks the straw in her mouth. She seems flustered. I want to ask her questions like what her name is and where she's from, but I've learned over the years of owning this place that asking questions of lonely people in a bar can quickly turn into conversations I have to maul my way out of. But most of the people who come in here don't capture my attention like she has. I gesture toward her 2 drinks and say, "Are you waiting for someone else?" She pulls both drinks closer. Nope, just thirsty. She breaks eye contact with me and leans back in her chair, pulling her notebook with her and giving it all her attention. I can take a hint. I walk to the other end of the bar to give her privacy. Roman returns from the kitchen and nudges his head in her direction. Who's she? I don't know, but she isn't wearing a wedding ring, so she's not your type. Very funny. Chapter 3. Kenna. Dear Scotty, they turned the old bookstore into a bar. Can you believe that shit? I wonder what they did with the sofa we used to sit on every Sunday. I swear, it's like this whole town is one huge Monopoly board, and after you died, someone came along and picked up the board and scrambled all the pieces around. Nothing is the same. Everything seems unfamiliar. I've been walking around downtown, taking it all in for the last couple of hours. I was on my way to the grocery store when I got sidetracked by the bench we used to eat ice cream on. I sat down and people-watched for a while. Everyone seems so carefree in this town. The people here just wander around like their worlds are right side up, like they aren't about to fall off the pavement and land in the sky. They just move from one moment to the next, not even aware of the mothers walking around without their daughters. I probably shouldn't be in a bar, especially my first night back. Not that I have an issue with alcohol. That one horrible night was an exception. But the last thing I need your parents to find out is that I stopped by a bar before I stopped by their house. But I thought this place was still the bookstore, and bookstores usually have coffee. I was so disappointed when I walked inside because it's been a long day of traveling here on a bus and then the cab. I was hoping for more caffeine than a diet soda can provide. Maybe the bar has coffee. I haven't asked yet. I probably shouldn't tell you this, and I promise it'll make sense before I finish this letter. But I kissed a prison guard once. We got caught, and he got transferred to a different unit, and I felt guilty that our kiss got him in trouble. But he talked to me like I was a person and not a number, and even though I wasn't attracted to him, I knew he was attracted to me. So when he leaned in to kiss me, I kissed him back. It was my way of saying thank you, and I think he knew that, and he was okay with it. It had been 2 years since I had been touched by you, so when he pressed me against the wall and gripped my waist, I thought I'd feel more. I was sad that I didn't. I'm telling you this because he tasted like coffee, but a better kind of coffee than the prison coffee they served to the prisoners. He tasted like expensive $8 coffee from Starbucks, with caramel and whipped cream and a cherry. It's why I kept kissing him. Not because I enjoyed the kiss, or him, or his hand on my waist, but because I missed expensive flavored coffee. And you. I miss expensive coffee and you. Love, Kenna. You want a refill? The bartender asks. He has tattoos that slide all the way into his shirt sleeves. His shirt is deep purple, a color you don't see in prison very often. I never thought about that until I was there, but prison is really drab and colorless. And after a while, you start to forget what the trees look like in the fall. Do you have coffee? I ask. Sure. Cream and sugar? Do you have caramel? And whipped cream? He tosses a rag onto his shoulder. You bet. Soy, skim, almond, or whole milk? Whole. The bartender laughs. I was kidding. This is a bar. I have a 4-hour-old pot of coffee and your choice of cream or sugar or both or none. The color of his shirt and the way it complements his skin tone are no longer impressive. Asshole. Just give me whatever, I mutter. The bartender backs away to retrieve my basic prison coffee. I watch as he lifts the pot out of the holder and brings it close to his nose to sniff it. He makes a face, then dumps it out in the sink. He flicks the water on while refilling a guy's beer, while starting a new pot of coffee, while closing out someone else's tab, while smiling just enough, but not too much. I've never seen someone move so fluidly, like he has 7 arms and 3 brains, and they're all going at once. It's mesmerizing watching someone who's good at what they do. I don't know what I'm good at. I don't know that there is anything in this world I could make look effortless. There are things I want to be good at. I want to be a good mother. To my future kids, but mostly to the daughter I already brought into this world. I want to have a yard that I can plant stuff in, stuff that will flourish and not die. I want to learn how to talk to people without wishing I could retract every word I said. I want to be good at feeling things when a guy touches my waist. I want to be good at life. I want to make it look effortless. But up until this point, I've made every aspect of life appear entirely too difficult to navigate. The bartender glides back to me when the coffee is ready. As he's filling the mug, I look at him and actually absorb what I'm seeing this time. He's good-looking in a way that a girl who is trying to get custody of her daughter should want to stay away from. He's got eyes that have seen a thing or two, and hands that have probably hit a man or two. His hair is fluid like his movements, long, dark strands that hang in his eyes and move in whatever direction he moves. He doesn't touch his hair. He hasn't since I've been sitting here. He just lets it get in his way, but then he'll flick his head every now and then, the slightest little movement, and his hair goes where he needs it to. It's thick hair, agreeable hair. Want my hands in his hair. My mug is full of coffee now, but he lifts a finger and says, "One sec." He swivels and opens a mini fridge and then pulls out whole milk. He pours some into the mug. He puts the milk back, opens another fridge. Surprise! Whipped cream. He reaches behind him, and when his hand reappears, he's holding a single cherry that he places carefully on top of my drink. He slides it closer to me and spreads out his arms like he just created magic. "No caramel," he says. "Best I could do for not a coffee shop." He probably thinks he just made a bougie drink for a spoiled girl who's used to having $8 coffee every day. He has no idea how long it's been since I've had a decent cup of coffee. Even in the months I spent in transitional housing, they served prison coffee to the prison girls with prison pasts. I could cry. I do cry. As soon as he gives his attention to someone at the other end of the bar, I take a drink of my coffee and close my eyes and cry. Because life can be so fucking cruel and hard, and I've wanted to quit living it so many times. But then moments like these remind me that happiness isn't some permanent thing we're all trying to achieve in life. It's merely a thing that shows up every now and then, sometimes in tiny doses that are just substantial enough to keep us going. Chapter 4. Ledger. I know what to do when a child cries, but I don't know what to do when a grown woman cries. I stay as far away from her as I can while she drinks her coffee. I haven't learned much about her since she walked in here an hour ago, but one thing I know for certain is she didn't come here to meet anyone. She came here for solitude. 3 people have tried to approach her in the last hour, and she held up a hand and shot them down without making eye contact with any of them. She drank her coffee in silence. It's barely 7 in the evening, so she might just be working her way up to the hard stuff. I kind of hope not. I'm intrigued by the idea that she came to a bar to order things we rarely serve while turning down men she never even made eye contact with. Roman and I are the only ones working until Marianne and Rozzy get here. The place is getting busier, so I can't give her the attention I want to give her, which is all my attention. I make it a point to spread myself out just enough so that it doesn't seem like I'm in her space too much. As soon as she finishes the coffee, I want to ask her what she's having next, but instead, I make her sit with her empty mug for a good 10 minutes. I might make it 15 before I work my way back to her. In the meantime, I just steal glances at her. Her face is a work of art. I wish there was a picture of it hanging on a wall in a museum somewhere, so I could stand in front of it and stare at it for as long as I wanted. Instead, I'm just getting in peeks here and there, admiring how all the same pieces of a face that make up all the other faces in the world just seem to coordinate better on her. People rarely come to a bar at the start of a weekend evening in such a raw state, but she isn't dressed up. She's wearing a faded Mountain Dew t-shirt and jeans, but the green in the shirt matches the green in her eyes with such perfection. It's as if she put all her effort into finding the perfect color of t-shirt, when I'm pretty sure she gave that shirt no thought at all. Her hair is russet, all one sturdy color, all one length, right below her chin. She slides her hands through it every now and then, and every time she does, it looks like she's about to fold in on herself. It makes me want to walk around the bar and lift her up and give her a hug. What's her story? I don't want to know. I don't need to know. I don't date girls I meet in this bar. Twice I've broken that rule, and twice it's bitten me in the ass. Besides, there's something terrifying about this one. I can't quite put my finger on it, but when I talk to her, I feel like my voice is trapped in my chest. And not in a way that I'm left breathless by her, but in a more substantial way, as though my brain is warning me not to interact with her. Red flag! Danger! Abort! But why? We make eye contact when I reach for her mug. She hasn't looked at anyone else tonight. Only me. I should feel flattered, but I feel scared. I played professional football and own a bar, yet I'm scared of a little eye contact with a pretty girl. That should be my Tinder bio. Played for the Broncos. Owns a bar. Scared of eye contact. What next? I ask her. Wine. White. It's a hard balance owning a bar and being sober. I want everyone else to be sober, but I also need customers. I pour her the glass of wine and set it in front of her. I remain near her, pretending to use a rag to dry glasses that have been dry since yesterday. I notice the slow roll of her throat as she stares down at the glass of wine, almost as if she's unsure. That split second of hesitation, or maybe it's regret, is enough to make me think she might struggle with alcohol. I can always tell when people are tossing away their sobriety by how they look at their glass. Drinking is only stressful to alcoholics. She doesn't drink the wine, though. She quietly sips on the soda until it's empty. I reach for the empty glass at the same time she does. When our fingers touch, I feel something else trapped in my chest other than my voice. Maybe it's a few extra heartbeats. Maybe it's an erupting volcano. Her fingers recoil from mine, and she puts her hands in her lap. I pull the empty glass of soda away from her, as well as the full glass of wine, and she doesn't even look up to ask me why. She sighs, like maybe she's relieved I took the wine away. Why did she even order it? I refill her soda, and when she isn't looking, I pour the wine in the sink and wash the glass. She sips from the soda for a while, but the eye contact stops. Maybe I upset her. Roman notices me staring at her. He leans an elbow onto the counter and says, "Divorce or death?" Roman always likes to guess the reasons people come in alone and seem out of place. The girl doesn't seem like she's here because of a divorce. Women usually celebrate those by coming to bars with groups of friends, wearing sashes that say, ex-wife. This girl does seem sad, but not sad in a way that would indicate she's grieving. "I'm gonna say divorce," Roman says. I don't respond to him. I don't feel right guessing her tragedy, because I'm hoping it isn't divorce or death or even a bad day. I want good things for her because it seems like she hasn't had a good thing in a long, long time. I stop staring at her while I tend to other customers. I do it to give her privacy, but she uses it as an opportunity to leave cash on the bar and sneak out. I stare for several seconds at her empty bar stool and the $10 tip she left. She's gone, and I don't know her name, and I don't know her story, and I don't know that I'll ever see her again. So here I am, rushing around the bar, through the bar, toward the front door she just slipped out of. The sky is on fire when I walk outside. I shield my eyes, forgetting how assaulting the light always is when I step out of the bar before dark. She turns around right when I spot her. She's about 10 feet from me. She doesn't have to shield her eyes because the sun is behind her, outlining her head like it's topped with a halo. "I left money on the bar," she says. I know. We stare at each other for a quiet moment. I don't know what to say. I just stand here like a fool. "What, then?" "Nothing," I say. But I immediately wish I would have said, "everything." She stares at me, and I never do this. I shouldn't do this, but I know if I let her walk away, I won't be able to stop thinking about the sad girl who left me a $10 tip when I get the feeling she can't afford to leave me a tip at all. "You should come back tonight at 11. I don't give her a chance to tell me no or explain why she can't. I go back inside the bar, hoping my request makes her curious enough to show back up tonight. Chapter 5. Kenna. I'm sitting on an inflatable mattress with my unnamed kitten, contemplating all the reasons I shouldn't go back to that bar. I didn't come back to this town to meet guys, even guys as good-looking as that bartender. I'm here for my daughter, and that's it. Tomorrow is important. Tomorrow I need to feel Herculean, but the bartender unintentionally made me feel weak by pulling away my glass of wine. I don't know what he saw on my face that made him want to take the wine away from me. I wasn't going to drink it. I only ordered it so I could feel a sense of control in not drinking it. I wanted to look at it and smell it and then walk away from it feeling stronger than when I sat down. Now I just feel unsettled because he saw how I was looking at the wine earlier, and the way he pulled it away makes me think he assumes I have an active issue with alcohol. I don't. I haven't had alcohol in years because one night of alcohol, mixed with a tragedy, ruined the last 5 years of my life, and the last 5 years of my life have led me back to this town, and this town makes me nervous, and the only thing that calms my nerves is doing things that make me feel like I'm still in control of my life and my decisions. That's why I wanted to turn down the wine, damn it. Now I'm not going to sleep well tonight. I have no reason to feel accomplished, because he made me feel the complete opposite. If I want to sleep well tonight, I'm going to need to turn down something else I want. Or someone. I haven't wanted anyone in a long, long time. Not since I first met Scotty. But the bartender was kind of hot, and he had a great smile, and he makes great coffee, and he already invited me to come back, so it'll be simple to show up and turn him down. Then I'll sleep well and be prepared to wake up and face the most important day of my life. I wish I could take my new kitten with me. I feel like I need a sidekick, but she's asleep on the new pillow I bought at the store earlier. I didn't buy much. The inflatable mattress, a couple of pillows and sheets, some crackers and cheese, and some cat food and litter. I decided I'm only going to live 2 days at a time in this town. Until I know what tomorrow will bring, there's no sense in my wasting any of the money I've been working 6 months to save up. I'm already running low, which is why I choose not to call a cab. I leave the apartment to walk back to the bar, but I don't carry my purse or my notebook with me this time. I just need my driver's license and my apartment key. It's about a 1.5 mile walk from my apartment to the bar, but it's nice out and the road is well lit. I'm a little concerned that someone might recognize me at the bar or even on my walk there, but I look completely different than I did 5 years ago. I used to care more about self-maintenance, but 5 years in prison has made me less concerned about hair dye and extensions and false lashes and artificial nails. I didn't live in this town long enough to make many friends outside of Scotty, so I doubt many people even know who I am. I'm sure plenty of them know of me, but it's hard to be recognized when you aren't even missed. Patrick and Grace might recognize me if they saw me, but I only met them once before going to prison. Prison. I'll never get used to saying that word. It's such a hard word to say out loud. When you lay the letters out on paper individually, they don't seem that harsh. But when you say the word out loud, prison, it's just so damn severe. When I think about where I've been for the last 5 years, I like to refer to it in my head as the facility. Or I'll think of my time there as when I was away, and leave it at that. To say when I was in prison is not something I'll ever get used to. I'll have to say it this week when I look for a job. They'll ask, "Have you ever been convicted of a crime?" I'll have to say, "Yes. I spent 5 years in prison for involuntary manslaughter." And they'll either hire me or they won't. They probably won't. There's a double standard for women, even behind bars. When women say they've been to prison, people think trash, whore, addict, thief. But when men say they've been to prison, people add badges of honor to the negative thoughts, like trash, but badass, addict, but tough, thief, but impressive. There's still a stigma with the men, but the women never get out with stigmas and badges of honor. According to the clock on the courthouse, I make it back downtown at 11:30. Hopefully he's still here even though I'm half an hour late. I didn't pay attention to the name of the bar earlier, probably because it was daylight out and I was shocked it was no longer a bookstore. But there's a small neon sign above the door that reads, Wards. I hesitate before going back inside. My return presence is more or less sending this guy a message I'm not sure I want him to receive. But the alternative is my going back to that apartment and being alone with my thoughts. I've spent enough time alone with my thoughts over the past 5 years. I'm craving people and noise and all the things I haven't had. And my apartment reminds me a little of prison. There's a lot of loneliness and silence there. I open the door of the bar. It's louder and smokier and somehow darker than it was earlier. There are no empty seats, so I weave through people, find the restroom, wait in the hall, wait outside, weave some more. Finally, a booth opens up. I cross the room and sit in it alone. I watch the bartender flow behind the bar. I like how unbothered he seems. 2 guys get into an argument, but he doesn't care. He just points to the door and they leave. He does that a lot. Points at things and people just do the things he points out for them to do. He points at 2 customers while making eye contact with the other bartender. That bartender walks up to them and closes out their tabs. He points to an empty shelf and one of the waitresses nods, and then a few minutes later, she has the shelf restocked. He points at the floor, and the other bartender disappears through the double doors and reappears with a mop to clean up a spill. He points to a hook on the wall, and another waitress, a pregnant one, mouths, "Thank you," and she hangs up her apron and goes home. He points, and people do, and then it's last call, and then it's time to close. People trickle out. No one trickles in. He hasn't looked at me. Not even once. I second-guess being here. He seems busy, and maybe I read him wrong earlier. I just assumed when he told me to come back that he said it for a reason, but maybe he tells all his customers that. I stand up, thinking maybe I need to trickle out too. But when he sees me stand, he points. He makes a simple motion with his finger, indicating for me to sit back down. So I do. I'm relieved to know my intuition was right, but the emptier the bar gets, the more nervous I grow. He assumes I'm a grown-ass woman, but I barely feel like an adult. I'm a 26-year-old teenager, inexperienced, starting from scratch. I'm not sure I'm here for the right reasons. I thought I could just walk in, flirt with him, and then walk away. But he's more tempting than any bougie coffee. I came here to turn him down, but I had no idea that he would be pointing all night, or that he would point at me. I had no idea pointing was sexy. I wonder if I would have found it sexy 5 years ago, or if I'm pathetically easy to please now. By midnight, we're the only 2 people left. The other employees have gone, the door is now locked, and he's carrying a case of empty glasses to the back. I pull my leg up and wrap my arms around it. I'm nervous. I didn't come back to this town to meet a guy. I'm in this town with a much bigger purpose. One he looks like he could derail with the point of a finger. I'm only human, though. Humans need companions, and even though I didn't return to this town to meet people, this guy is hard to ignore. He walks through the double doors with a different shirt on. He's no longer wearing the purple collared shirt with the rolled-up sleeves that all the other employees were wearing. He put on a white t-shirt. So simple, but so complicated. He smiles when he reaches me, and I feel that smile slip over me with the warmth of a weighted blanket. You came back. I try to act unaffected. You asked me to. You want something to drink? I'm okay. He touches his hair now, pushing it back, staring down at me. There's a war in his eyes, and I am by no means Switzerland. But he comes to me anyway, sits next to me. Right next to me. My heart beats faster, even faster than when Scotty came to my register for a 4th time all those years ago. What's your name? He asks. I don't want him to know my name. He looks like he could be the age Scotty would be now if Scotty were alive, which means he might recognize my name, or me. or remember what happened. I don't want anyone to know me, or remember, or warn the Landrys that I'm in town. It isn't a small town, but it isn't huge either. My presence won't go unnoticed for long. I just need it to go unnoticed for long enough. So I lie, sort of, and give him my middle name. Nicole. I don't ask him what his name is because I don't care. I'll never use it. I'll never come back here after tonight. I pull at a strand of my hair, nervous at being so close to someone after so long. I feel like I've forgotten what to do, so I just blurt out what I came here to say. I wasn't going to drink it. He tilts his head, confused by my confession, so I clarify. The wine. Sometimes I shake my head. It's dumb, but I do this thing where I order alcohol specifically to walk away from it. I don't have a drinking problem. It's more like an issue with control, I think. Makes me feel less weak. His eyes scan my face with the slightest hint of a smile. I respect that, he says. I rarely drink for similar reasons. I'm around drunk people every night, and the more I'm around them, the less I want to be among them. A bartender who doesn't drink? That's rare, right? I'd think bartenders would have one of the highest rates of alcoholism. Easy access. That's actually the construction industry. Which probably isn't good for my odds. I've been building a house for several years now. You're really setting yourself up for failure. He smiles. Looks that way. He relaxes into the booth a little more. What do you do, Nicole? This is the moment I should walk away. Before I say too much, before he asks more questions. But I like his voice and his presence, and I feel like staying here would be distracting, and I really need a distraction right now. I just don't want to talk. Talking will only get me in trouble in this town. Do you really want to know what I do for a living? I'm sure he'd rather have his hand up my shirt than hear whatever it is a girl would say in this moment. And since I don't want to admit that I do nothing for a living because I've been locked up for 5 years, I slide onto his lap. It surprises him, almost as if he really did expect us to sit here and chat for the next hour. His expression changes from mild shock to acceptance. His hands fall to my hips, and he grips them. I shiver from the contact. He adjusts me so that I'm sitting a little farther up, and I can feel him through his jeans, and I'm suddenly not as confident that I can walk away as I was 5 seconds ago. I thought I could kiss him and then tell him goodnight and saunter home with pride. I just wanted to feel a little bit powerful before tomorrow. But now he's dragging his fingers across the skin on my waist, and it's making me weaker and weaker. And so fucking thoughtless. Not thoughtless as in uncaring, but thoughtless as in empty inside my head and feeling everything in my chest like a ball of fire is building inside of me. His right hand slides up my back, and I gasp because I feel his touch surge through me like a current. This guy is touching my face now, running his fingers down my cheekbone, and then his fingertips across my lips. He's staring at me like he's trying to figure out where he knows me from. Maybe that's just my paranoia at work. Who are you? He whispers. I already told him, but I repeat my middle name anyway. Nicole? He smiles, but then loses the smile and says, I know your name, but where'd you come from? Why have we never met before tonight? I don't want his questions. I have no honest answers. I move a little closer to his mouth. Who are you? Ledger, he says, right before he rips open my past, pulls out what's left of my heart, drops it on the floor, and then kisses me. People say you fall in love, but fall is such a sad word when you think about it. Falls are never good. You fall on the ground, you fall behind, You fall to your death. Whoever was the first person to say they fell in love must have already fallen out of it. Otherwise, they'd have called it something much better. Scotty told me he loved me halfway into our relationship. It was the night I was supposed to meet his best friend for the first time. I had already met his parents, and he was excited for that, but not nearly as excited as he was to introduce me to the guy he considered a brother. That meeting never happened. I can't remember why. It's been a long time. But his friend had to cancel, and Scotty was sad. So I baked him cookies, and we smoked a joint, and then I gave him head. Best girlfriend ever. Until I killed him. But this was 3 months before he would die, and on that particular night, even though he was sad, he was very much alive. He had a beating heart and a rapid pulse and a heaving chest and tears in his eyes when he said, "I fucking love you, Kenna. I love you more than I've ever loved anyone. I miss you all the time, even when we're together." That stuck with me. I miss you all the time, even when we're together. And I thought that was the only thing that stuck with me that night. But I was wrong. Something else stuck with me. A name. Ledger. The best friend who never showed. The best friend I never got to meet. The best friend who just put his tongue in my mouth and his hand up my shirt and his name in my chest. Chapter 6. Ledger. I don't understand attraction. What is it that draws people to each other? How can dozens of women walk through the doors to this bar every week, and I don't feel the urge to give any of them a second glance? But then this girl waltzes in, and I can't take my fucking eyes off her. Now I can't take my mouth off her. I don't know why I'm breaking my self-imposed rule, no pursuing customers, but there's something about her that indicates I'll only have one chance. I get the feeling she's either passing through town or doesn't plan on coming back in here. Tonight seems like an exception to whatever her normal routine may be, and I feel like skipping an opportunity to be with her will be that one regret in life I'll still think back on when I'm an old man. She seems like a quiet person, but not the shy kind of quiet. She's quiet in a fierce way, a storm that sneaks up on you, and you don't know it's there until you feel the thunder rattle your bones. She's quiet, but she said just enough to make me want the rest of her words. She tastes like apples, even though she had coffee earlier, and apples are my favorite fruit. They're probably my favorite food, period, now. We kiss for several seconds, and even though she made the first move, she still seemed surprised when I pulled her to my mouth. Maybe she expected me to wait a little longer before tasting her. Or maybe she wasn't expecting it to feel like this. I hope it feels like this for her. But whatever caused that tiny gasp right before my mouth met hers, it wasn't because she didn't want the kiss. She pulls away, briefly indecisive. But then she seems to make up her mind, because she leans in and kisses me again with even more conviction. That conviction disappears, though. Too fast. She pulls away for a second time, and this time her eyes are full of regret. She shakes her head quickly and places her palms on my chest. I cover her hands with mine right when she says, "I'm sorry." She slides off me, the inside of her thigh rubbing across my zipper, making me even harder as she scoots out of the booth. I reach for her hand, but her fingers trickle out of mine as she backs away from the table. I shouldn't have come back. She turns away from me and heads toward the door. I deflate. I didn't commit her face to memory, and I don't like the thought of her leaving without me, being able to remember the exact shape of the mouth that was just on mine. I push out of the booth and follow her. She can't get the door open. She jiggles the handle and tries to push it like she can't get away from me fast enough. I want to beg her to stay, but I also want to help her get away from me. So I pull down on the top lock while reaching in front of her with my foot to push up on the floor lock. The door opens and she spills outside. She inhales a big gulp of air and then spins and faces me. I scan her mouth, wishing I had a photographic memory. Her eyes are no longer the same color as her shirt. They're a lighter green now because she's tearing up. Once again, I find myself not knowing what to do. I've never seen a girl so all over the place in such a short amount of time, and none of it feels forced or dramatic. With every move she makes and every feeling she has, it's as if she wants to reel them back in and tuck them away. She seems embarrassed. She's gasping for breath, trying to wipe away the few tears that are beginning to form. And since I have no idea what the fuck to say, I just hug her. What else can I do? I pull her to me, and for a second, she stiffens. But that's almost immediately followed up by a sigh as she relaxes. We're the only people around. It's after midnight. Everyone is home sleeping, watching a movie, making love. But I'm here on Main Street, hugging a really sad girl, wondering why she's sad, wishing I didn't think she was so beautiful. Her face is pressed against my chest, and her arms are tight around my waist. Her forehead comes right up to my mouth, but she's tucked under my chin. I rub her arms. My truck is right around the corner. I always park in the alley, but she seems upset, and I don't want to encourage her to follow me to an alley when she's crying. I lean against an awning post and pull her with me. 2 minutes pass, maybe 3. She doesn't let go. She molds against me, soaking up the comfort my arms and chest and hands are giving her. I'm rubbing her back, up and down, my voice still trapped in my throat. Something is wrong with her. Something I'm not sure I even want to know at this point. But it's something I can't just leave her on the sidewalk and drive away from. I don't think she's crying anymore when she says, "I need to go home." "I'll give you a ride." She shakes her head and pulls away from me. I keep my hands on her arms, and I notice when she folds her arms over her chest that she touches my right hand with 2 of her fingers. It's just a quick swipe, but it's deliberate, like she wants to get one last tiny feel of me before she leaves. I don't live far. I'll walk. She's crazy if she thinks she's walking home. It's too late to be walking by yourself. I point toward the alley. My truck is 10 feet away. For obvious reasons, that gesture makes her hesitate, but then she accepts the hand I'm reaching out to her, and she follows me around the corner. When my truck comes into view, she stops walking. I turn around, and she's staring at my truck with concern in her eyes. "I can call you an Uber if you'd prefer that, but I swear I'm just offering you a ride home. No expectations." She looks down at her feet, but continues walking toward my truck. I open my passenger door for her, and when she climbs inside, she doesn't face forward. She's still facing me, and her legs are preventing me from closing the door. She's looking at me like she's torn. Her eyebrows are drawn apart. I'm not sure I've ever seen anyone look so effortlessly sad. "Are you okay?" She leans her head against the seat and stares at me. "I will be," she says quietly. "Tomorrow is a big day for me. I'm just nervous." "What's tomorrow?" I ask her. "A big day for me." She obviously doesn't plan on elaborating, so I nod, respecting her privacy. Her focus moves to my arm. She touches the hem of my sleeve, so I put my hand on her knee because I want it somewhere on her, and her knee seems like the safest place, until she lets me know where else she might want my hand. I don't know what her intentions are. Most people show up to bars and make their intentions clear. You can tell who comes in for a hookup and who comes in to get shit-faced. I can't tell with this girl. It seems like she accidentally opened the door and ended up in my bar, and has no idea what she wants from tonight. Maybe she just wants to skip tonight and get straight to whatever big thing she's got going on tomorrow. I'm waiting for a signal from her on what she wants me to do next, because I thought I was taking her home, but she hasn't faced forward. It's like she wants me to kiss her again. But I don't want to make her cry again. But I want to kiss her again. I touch her face, and she leans into my hand. I'm still not positive she's comfortable, so I hesitate until she scoots closer to me. I position myself between her legs, and then she tightens her thighs around my hips. I can take a hint. I swipe my tongue across her lips, and she pulls me in until her sweet breath is in my mouth. She tastes like apples still, but her mouth is saltier, and her tongue is more decisive. She leans into my kiss, and I lean into the truck, into her, and she slowly falls back across the seat, pulling me with her. I hover over her, standing between her legs, pressing myself against her. The way she sucks in small gasps of air while I kiss her is driving me insane. She guides my hand up her shirt, and I grab her breast, and she wraps her legs around me, and then my jeans are against hers, and we're rocking back and forth like we're in fucking high school, and this is our only place to go. I want to pull her back into the bar and tear off her clothes, but this is enough. More than this would be way too much. For her. Or maybe too much for me. I don't know. I just know her mouth and this truck are enough. After a minute of making out in the dark, I pull away from her mouth just enough to see that her eyes are closed and her lips are parted. I keep my steady rhythm against her, and she lifts her hips, and I swear the friction between our clothes is enough to start an actual fire. It's so hot between her thighs, and I don't think I can finish like this. I'm not sure she can either. We're just going to drive ourselves crazy if we don't find a way to get even closer or stop altogether. I would invite her to my house, but my parents are in town, and I'm not bringing anyone near those two. Nicole, I whisper. I feel uncomfortable even suggesting this, but I can't keep making out with her in an alley like she isn't worth a bed. We could go back inside. She shakes her head and says, "No, I like your truck," right before pulling my mouth back to hers. If she likes my truck, I love my truck. My truck is my second favorite thing in the world right now. Her mouth is my first. She moves my hand to the button on her jeans, so I oblige and unbutton them while my tongue is dragging across hers. I slip my hand into the front of her jeans until my fingers slide over her panties. She moans, and it's so loud against the silent soundtrack of this sleepy town. I move her panties aside with my fingers, and I'm met with smooth skin and heat and a whimper. When I inhale, I can hear the shakiness of my own breaths. I bury my mouth against her neck just as headlights turn onto the street next to us. Shit. My truck is parked in the alley, but we aren't hidden from the view of the street. We suddenly find ourselves scrambling as we're snapped back to reality. I pull my hand out of her jeans, and she buttons them. I help her up, and then she faces forward while straightening out her hair. I close her door and walk around the truck as the car approaches and comes to a slow roll, then a stop, right in front of the alley. I glance up at the car and see Grady in his cruiser. He's rolling down the window, so I walk away from my truck and up to his car. "Busy night?" he asks as he leans toward the passenger seat so that he can see me from the driver's side of the car. I look behind me at Nicole in the truck and then back at him. "Yep, just closed. You on until morning?" He turns down his radio. Whitney took a new shift at the hospital, so I'm back on nights for now. I like it. It's quiet. I tap his hood and then take a step back. Good to hear. I gotta go. See you tomorrow on the field? Grady can tell something is up. I'm usually not this quick to brush him off. He leans forward, looking around me, attempting to see whoever is in my truck. I lean to the right and block his view. Have a good night, Grady. I point down the road, letting him know he's welcome to continue his patrol. He grins. Yep, you too. I'm not trying to hide her. I just know his wife is a gossip, and I don't really want to be the talk of the t-ball field tomorrow. I climb into my truck, and she's got her feet up on the dash. She's looking out her window, avoiding eye contact with me. I don't want her to feel awkward. That's the last thing I want. I reach over and tuck a strand of hair behind her ear. You okay? She nods, but the nod is stiff, and so is she, and so is her smile. I live next to Sefco. That gas station is almost 2 miles away. She told me earlier she lived close by, but 2 miles at midnight isn't close. Sefco off Bellevue? She shrugs. I think so. I can't remember all the street names. I just moved here today. That explains why she isn't familiar to me. I want to say something like, "Where'd you come from? What brings you to town?" But I say nothing, because she seems to want me to say nothing. 2 miles only takes 2 minutes when there's no traffic, and 2 minutes isn't all that long, but it sure does feel like an eternity when you're spending it in a truck with a girl you almost fucked. And it wouldn't have been a good fuck. It most certainly would have been a quick, sloppy, selfish, couldn't have been good for her fuck. I want to apologize, but I'm not sure what I'd be apologizing for, and I don't want her to think I regret it. The only thing I regret is that I'm taking her home and not to my house. I live there, she says, pointing at Paradise Apartments. I don't come to this part of town very often. It's in the opposite direction of my house, so I rarely drive down this road. I honestly thought they condemned this place. I pull into the parking lot, and I intend to kill the engine and open her door for her, but she's already out of the truck before I even get it turned off. Thanks for the ride, she says, and for the coffee. She closes the door and spins around like that's how we're supposed to part. I open my door. Hey, wait! She pauses, but waits to turn around until I've reached her. She's hugging herself, chewing on her lip, scratching nervously at her arm. She looks up at me. You don't have to say anything. What do you mean? I mean, I know what that was. She waves a hand at my truck. You don't have to ask for my number. I don't even have one. How does she know what that was? I don't know what that was. My mind is still trying to process it. Maybe I should ask her. What was that? What does it mean? Can it happen again? I'm in uncharted territory. I've had one-night stands before, but things were discussed and agreed to prior to the sex. And it's always happened in a bed, or something close to it. But with her, the makeout just happened, and then it was interrupted, and it was in an alley of all places. I feel like an asshole. I have no idea what to say. I don't know where to put my hands because I feel like I should be hugging her goodbye, but it seems like she doesn't want me near her now. I slip my hands into the pockets of my jeans. I want to see you again. It's not a lie. Her eyes flicker from mine to her apartment building. I'm not... She sighs, and then she just says, "No, thank you." She says it so politely, I can't even be upset. I stand in front of her apartment building and watch her walk away until she goes up the stairs and into an apartment, and I can't see her anymore. And even then, I stay in the same spot because I think I'm shocked or, at the least, jarred. I don't know her at all, but I find her more intriguing than anyone else I've met in a long time. I want to ask her more questions. She never even answered the one question I asked about her life. Who the hell is she? Why do I feel the need to find out more about her? Chapter 7. Kenna. Dear Scotty, when they say it's a small world, they aren't kidding. Tiny, minuscule, overcrowded. I'm only telling you this because I know you can't actually read these letters, but I saw Ledger's truck tonight and I thought I was going to cry. Actually, I was already crying because he said his name and I realized who he was, and I was kissing him and I felt so guilty, so I embarrassingly ran outside and almost had a panic attack. But yeah, that damn truck. I can't believe he still has it. I still remember the night you pulled up in it to take me on our first date. I laughed because it was such a bright orange that I couldn't understand what kind of person would willingly choose that color. Over 300 letters I've written to you, and I only realized tonight, while skimming the letters, that not one of them details the first moment we met. I wrote about our actual first date, but never mentioned the first time we laid eyes on each other. I was working as a cashier at Dollar Days. It was the first job I applied for when I moved away from Denver. I knew no one, but I didn't mind it. I was in a new state and a new town, and no one held any preconceived notions of me. No one knew my mother. When you came through my line, I didn't notice you right away. I rarely looked at the customers, especially if they were guys my age. Guys my age had only disappointed me up to that point. I thought maybe I was supposed to be attracted to older men, or maybe even women, because no guy I had ever met who was my age made me feel good about myself. Between the catcalls and the sexual expectations, I had lost complete faith in the male population of my generation. We were a small store, and everything in the store was just $1, so people usually came through with carts full of stuff. You came through my line with one dinner plate. I wondered what kind of person only bought one dinner plate. Surely most people expect to have friends occasionally, or at least the hope for friends. But buying one plate felt like you expected to always eat alone. I rang up the plate and wrapped it before placing it in a sack and handing it to you. It wasn't until the second time you came through my line, a few minutes later, that I finally looked at your face. You were buying a second dinner plate. It made me feel better for you. I rang up the second plate, you handed me your $1 and some change, I handed you the sack, and that's when you smiled. You had me in that moment, although you probably didn't realize it. Your smile was like warmth sliding over me. It was dangerous and it was comfortable, and I didn't know what to do about those warring feelings, so I looked away from you. 2 minutes later, you were standing in line again with a third plate. I rang you up, you paid, I wrapped your plate and handed you your sack, but this time, I spoke. "Come back soon," I said. You grinned and said, "If you insist." You circled the register and went back to the aisle that contained the plates. I didn't have any other customers, so I watched the aisle until you reappeared with a fourth plate and brought it to the register. I rang up the plate and said, "You know, you can buy more than one thing at a time." "I know," you said, "but I only need one plate." "Then why is this the fourth one you've bought?" "Because I'm trying to work up the nerve to ask you out." I had hoped that was why. I handed you your sack, wanting your fingers to touch mine. They did. It felt exactly as I imagined, like our hands were magnetic. It took a lot of effort just to pull my hand back. I tried to act nonchalant about your flirtation, because that's just what I'd always done with men. So I said, "It's against store policy for employees to date customers." There wasn't any firmness or truth to my voice at all. But I think you liked the game we were playing. So you said, "Okay, give me a minute to rectify that." You walked to the only other cashier in the store. You were only a few feet away, so I heard you say, I need to return these plates, please. The other cashier had been on the phone with a customer during your 4 trips to the register, so I'm not sure she knew you were being facetious. She glanced at me from her register and made a face. I shrugged, like I didn't know what was up with the guy who had 4 different receipts for 4 plates. And then I turned away from her to wait on another customer. You came through my line a few minutes later and slapped a return receipt on the counter. I'm no longer a customer. What now? I picked up the receipt, pretending to read it carefully. I handed it back to you and said, I get off work at 7. You folded the receipt and didn't look at me when you said, see you in 3 hours. I should have told you 6 because I ended up getting off work early. I spent the extra hour in the store next door buying a new outfit. You still hadn't shown up at 20 minutes past 7, so I had given up and was walking to my car when you sped into the parking lot and pulled up next to me. You rolled down your window and said, sorry I'm late. I was perpetually late, so I was in no place to judge you on your tardiness, but I sure did judge you based on your truck. I thought maybe you were insane or overconfident. It was an older Ford F-250, big double cab, the ugliest color of orange I'd ever seen. I like your truck. I wasn't sure if I was telling the truth or if I was lying. It was such an ugly truck, it made me hate it. But because it was so ugly, it made me love that you were picking me up in it. It's not mine. It's my best friend's truck. My car is in the shop. I was relieved it wasn't yours, but also a little disappointed because I found the color so amusing. You motioned for me to get in the truck. You looked proud and smelled like a candy cane. Is that why you're late? Your car broke down? You shook your head and said, no, I had to break up with my girlfriend. My head swung in your direction. You have a girlfriend? Not anymore. You shot me a coy look. But you had one when you asked me out earlier? Yes, but by the time I purchased my 3rd dinner plate, I knew I was going to break up with her. It was overdue, you said. We've both been wanting out of it for a while. We were just too comfortable to call it off. You flicked on your blinker and pulled into a gas station and up to a gas pump. My mother will be sad. My mother really likes her. Mothers don't usually like me, I admitted. Or maybe it was more of a warning. You smiled. I can see that. Mothers prefer to imagine their sons with wholesome-looking girls. You're too sexy to make a mother feel comfortable. I wasn't one to get offended by a guy calling me sexy. I worked hard that day to look sexy. I spent a lot of money on the bra and low-cut shirt I had purchased 30 minutes earlier, with the goal of making my breasts look store-bought. I appreciated the compliment, even if you were being a little tacky. As you got out to fill your friend's truck up with gas, I thought about the wholesome-looking girl whose heart you just broke simply because I agreed to go on a date with you. And I felt a bit like a snake in that moment. But even though I felt like a snake, I didn't plan on slithering away. I liked your energy so much, I planned to coil myself around you and never let go. When Ledger said his name against my lips earlier tonight, I almost said, Scotty's Ledger? But the question would have been pointless, because I knew in that instant that he was your Ledger. How many Ledgers can there be? I've never met one before. I was overwhelmed with questions, but Ledger kissed me and it ripped me in half, because I wanted to kiss him back. But even more than that, I wanted to ask him questions about you. I wanted to say, what was Scotty like as a child? What did you love about him? Did he ever talk about me? Do you still talk to his parents? Have you met my daughter? Can you help me put all the pieces of my broken life back together? But I couldn't speak, because your best friend had his searing hot tongue in my mouth, and it felt like he was branding me with the word cheater. I don't know why it felt like I was cheating on you. You've been dead 5 years, and I kissed the prison guard, so it's not like you were even my last kiss. But my kiss with the prison guard didn't make me feel like I was cheating on you. That could be because the prison guard wasn't your best friend. Or maybe I felt like a cheater because I actually felt Ledger's kiss. It trickled all over me the way your kisses used to do. But then there was that added element of feeling like a cheater, or a liar, or trash, because Ledger didn't know me at all. To Ledger, he was being kissed by the transient girl he couldn't stop staring at all night. To me, I was being kissed by the hot bartender whose best friend died because of me. Everything exploded. I felt like I was shattering. I was allowing Ledger to touch me, knowing full well he'd probably rather stab me if he knew who I was. Pulling away from his kiss felt a little like trying to put out a forest fire with a nuclear bomb. I wanted to apologize. I wanted to escape. I felt like collapsing, thinking about how Ledger probably knew you better than I did. I hated that the one guy I ran into in this town is the one guy I should be avoiding. Ledger didn't turn away when I cried, though. He did what you would have done. He put his arms around me and let me be however I needed to be. And it felt nice, because I hadn't been held like that since you. I closed my eyes and pretended your best friend was my ally, that he was on my side. I pretended he was holding me, despite what I'd done to you, and he wanted to help me heal. I also let it happen because if Ledger is back in this town, and he's still driving the truck I met you in all those years ago, then that means he's a fan of routine. And there's a huge possibility that our daughter is part of Ledger's routine. Is it possible I'm only one person away from Diem? If you could see the pages I'm writing this letter on, you'd see the tear stains. Crying seems to be the only thing left in life that I'm good at. Crying and making bad decisions. And of course, I'm good at writing you bad poetry. I'll leave you with one I wrote on the bus ride back to this town. I have a daughter I have never held. She has a scent I have never smelled. She has a name I have never yelled. She has a mother who has already failed. Love, Kenna. Chapter 8. Ledger. I didn't park in the garage when I got home last night. Diem likes to wake up and look out her window in the mornings to make sure I'm home. And when I leave my truck in the garage, Grace says it makes Diem sad. I've lived across the street from them since Diem was 8 months old. But if I don't count the years I moved out of this house and lived in Denver, I've technically been in this house my entire life. My parents haven't lived here in several years, even though they're both passed out in the guest room right now. They bought the RV when my father retired, and they travel the country now. I bought the house from them when I moved back, and they loaded up and left. I figured it would last a year at the most, but it's been over 4 years now, and they aren't showing any signs of slowing down. I just wish they'd warn me before they show up. Maybe I should download a GPS app to their phones so I'll have some kind of warning in the future. Not that I don't like their visits. It would just be nice to be able to prepare for them. This is why I'm building a privacy gate at my new house. Eventually. It's slow going because Roman and I are doing a lot of the work ourselves. Every Sunday, from sunup until sundown, I drive up to Cheshire Ridge with Roman and we work on it. I contract out for the more difficult stuff, but we've completed a good chunk of the build ourselves. After 2 years of Sundays, the house is finally starting to come together. I'm maybe 6 months from moving in. Where are you going? I spin around when I reach the garage door. My father is standing outside the guest bedroom. He's in his underwear. Diem has t-ball. You guys want to come? Nope. Too hungover for kids today, and we really need to get back on the road. You're already leaving? We'll be back in a few weeks. My father gives me a hug. Your mother is still asleep, but I'll tell her you said bye. Maybe give me a heads up before the next visit, and I'll take off work. My father shakes his head. Nah, we like seeing the surprise on your face when we show up unannounced. He heads into the bathroom and closes the door. I walk through the garage and toward Patrick and Grace's house across the street. I'm hoping Diem isn't in a talkative mood, because my concentration is going to be shit today. All I can think about is the girl from last night and how much I want to see her again. I wonder if it would be weird if I left a note on her door. I knock on Patrick and Grace's front door and then walk in. We're all back and forth at each other's houses so much. At one point, we got tired of saying, "It's open." It's always open. Grace is in the kitchen with DM. DM is sitting in the center of the table with her legs crossed and a bowl of eggs on her lap. She never sits in chairs. She's always on top of things, like the back of the couch, the kitchen bar, the kitchen table. She's a climber. "You're still in your pajamas, Dee." I take the bowl of eggs from her and point down the hallway. "Get dressed, we gotta go." She runs to her room to put on her t-ball uniform. "I thought the game was at 10, Grace says. "I would have had her ready." "It is, but I've got Gatorade duty, so I have to run by the store. And then I have to swing by and pick up Roman." I lean against the counter and grab a tangerine. I peel it open while Grace starts the dishwasher. She blows a piece of hair out of her face. She wants a swing set, she says. One of those ridiculously big ones, like the one you used to have in your backyard. Her friend Nyla from school got one, and you know we can't say no. It'll be her 5th birthday. I still have it. You do? Where? It's in the shed, in pieces, but I can help Patrick put it back together. Shouldn't be too hard. You think it's still in good shape? Was when I took it apart. I failed to tell her Scotty is the reason I took it apart. I got angry every time I looked at it after he died. I put another piece of tangerine in my mouth and reroute my thoughts. I can't believe she'll be 5. Grace sighs. I know. Unreal. Unfair. Patrick pops into the kitchen and tousles my hair like I'm not almost 30 and 3 inches taller than him. "Hey, kid." He reaches around me and grabs one of the tangerines. "Did Grace tell you we can't make the game today?" "I haven't yet," Grace says. She rolls her eyes, her annoyed gaze landing on me. "My sister is in the hospital. Elective surgery. She's fine, but we have to drive to her house and feed her cats." "What's she getting done this time?" Grace waves a hand at her face. "Something with her eyes. Who knows? She's 5 years older than me, but looks 10 years younger." Patrick covers Grace's mouth. "Stop. You're perfect." Grace laughs and shoves his hand away. I've never seen them fight, not even when Scotty was a kid. My parents bicker a lot, and it's mostly in fun, but I've never even seen Grace and Patrick bicker in the 20 years I've known them. I want that. Someday. I don't have time for it yet, though. I work too much and feel like I'm slowly running myself into the ground. I need to make a change if I ever want to keep a girl long enough to have what Patrick and Grace have. "Ledger!" DM yells from her bedroom. "Help me!" I walk down the hallway to go see what she needs. She's on her knees in her closet, digging around. "I can't find my other boot. I need my boot." She's holding one red cowboy boot and rummaging around for the other. "Why do you need boots? You need your cleats." "I don't want to wear my cleats today. I want to wear my boots." Her cleats are next to her bed, so I grab them. "You can't wear boots to play baseball." "Here, hop on the bed so I can help you put on your cleats." She stands up and flings the second red boot onto her bed. "Found it!" She giggles and climbs onto her bed and starts putting on her boots. "DM, it's baseball. People don't wear boots to play baseball." "I am. I'm wearing boots today." "No, you can't." I shut up. I don't have time to argue with her, and I know once she gets to the field and sees all the other kids with their cleats, she'll let me take off her boots. I help her put on the boots and take the cleats with us when I carry her out of the room. Grace meets us at the door and hands DM a juice pouch. "Have fun today." She kisses DM on the cheek, and then Grace's eyes go to DM's boots. "Don't ask," I say as I open their front door. "Bye, Nana," DM says. Patrick is in the kitchen, and when DM fails to tell him goodbye, he stomps dramatically toward us. "What about No-No?" Patrick wanted to go by Papa when ZM started talking. But for whatever reason, she called Grace Nana and Patrick No-No, and it was so funny. Grace and I enforced it enough that it finally stuck. "Bye, No-No," DM says, giggling. "We may not get back before you," Grace says. "You mind keeping her if we aren't?" I don't know why Grace always asks me. I've never said no. I'll never say no. "Take your time. I'll take her somewhere for lunch." I put DM down when we get outside. "McDonald's," she says. "I don't want McDonald's," I say as we cross the street toward my truck. "McDonald's drive-thru." I open the back door to my truck and help her into her booster seat. "How about Mexican food?" "Nope, McDonald's." "Chinese? We haven't had Chinese food in a long time." "McDonald's." "I'll tell you what. If you wear your cleats when we get to the game, we can eat McDonald's." I get her seatbelt buckled. She shakes her head. "No, I want to wear my boots. I want lunch anyway. I'm full." "You'll be hungry by lunchtime." "I won't. I ate a dragon. I'm gonna be full forever." Sometimes I worry about how many stories she tells, but she's so convincing, I'm more impressed than concerned. I don't know at what age a child should know the difference between a lie and using their imagination, but I'll leave that up to Grace and Patrick. I don't want to stifle my favorite part of her. I pull onto the street. "You ate a dragon? A whole dragon?" "Yeah, but he was a baby dragon. That's how he fit in my stomach." "Where'd you find a baby dragon?" "Walmart." "They sell baby dragons at Walmart?" She proceeds to tell me all about how baby dragons are sold at Walmart, but you have to have a special coupon and only kids can eat them. By the time I make it to Roman's, she's explaining how they're cooked. "With salt and shampoo," she says. You aren't supposed to eat shampoo. You don't eat it, you use it to cook the dragon. Oh, silly me. Roman gets in the truck, and he looks about as excited as someone going to a funeral. He hates T-ball days. He's never been a kid person. The only reason he helps me coach is that none of the other parents would do it. And since he works for me, I added it to his schedule. He's the only person I know who gets paid to coach T-ball, but he doesn't seem to feel guilty about it. "Hi, Roman," DM says from the back seat in a sing-song voice. "I've only had 1 cup of coffee. Don't talk to me." Roman is 27, but he and DM have met somewhere in the middle with their love-hate relationship because they both act 12. DM starts tapping the back of his headrest. "Wake up, wake up, wake up." Roman rolls his head until he's looking at me. "All this shit you do to help little kids in your spare time isn't going to gain you any points in an afterlife because religion is a social construct created by societies who wanted to regulate their people, which makes heaven a concept. We could be sleeping right now." "Wow, I'd hate to see you before coffee." I back out of his driveway. If heaven is conceptual, what is hell? The T-ball field? Chapter 9. Kenna. I've been to 6 different places trying to find a job, and it isn't even 10 in the morning yet. They've all gone the same. They give me an application, ask me about my experience. I have to tell them I have none. I have to tell them why. Then they apologize, but not before looking me up and down. I know what they're thinking. It's the same thing my landlord, Ruth, said when she saw me for the first time. "Didn't expect you to look like this." People think women who go to prison have a certain look, that we're a certain way. But we're mothers, wives, daughters, humans, and all we want is to just catch one fucking break. Just one. The 7th place I try is a grocery store. It's a little farther from my apartment than I'd like, almost 2.5 miles, but I've exhausted everything else between this store and my apartment. I'm sweating when I enter the store, so I freshen up in the bathroom. I'm washing my hands in the sink when a short woman with silky black hair enters the bathroom. She doesn't go into a stall. She just leans against the wall and closes her eyes. She has a name badge on. Amy. When she opens her eyes, she notices I'm staring at her shoes. She's wearing a pair of moccasins with white and red beads in the shape of a circle on top of them. "You like?" she asks, lifting her foot and tilting it from one side to the other. "Yeah, they're beautiful. My grandmother makes them. We're supposed to wear sneakers here, but the general manager has never said anything about my shoes. I think he's scared of me." I look down at my muddy sneakers. I recoil at the sight of them. I didn't realize I was walking around with such dirty shoes. I can't apply for a job like this. I take one of them off and start washing it in the sink. "I'm hiding," the woman says. I don't normally hang out in bathrooms, but there's an old lady in the store who always complains about everything, and I'm honestly just not in the mood for her bullshit today. I have a 2-year-old, and she didn't sleep all night, and I really wanted to call in sick today, but I'm the shift manager, and shift managers don't call in sick. We show up. And hide in bathrooms. She grins. Exactly. I switch shoes and start washing the other one. I have a lump in my throat when I say, "Are you guys hiring? I'm looking for a job." "Yeah, but it's probably not anything you're interested in." She must not see the desperation on my face. "What are you hiring for?" "Grocery bagger. It's not full-time, but we usually leave those spots open for teenagers with special needs." "Oh, well, I don't want to take a job away from anyone." "No, it's not that," she says. "We just don't have many applicants because of the low hours. But we really are in need of part-time help."
It's about 20 hours a week. That won't even pay rent, but if I worked hard enough, I could possibly work my way into a different position. I can do it until someone with special needs applies. I could really use the money. Amy looks me up and down. "Why are you so desperate? The pay is shit." I put my shoe back on. I tie my shoe, stalling the inevitable admission. "I just got out of prison." I say it fast and confidently, like it doesn't bother me as much as it does. But I can do this. I won't let you down, and I won't be any trouble. Amy laughs. It's a loud laugh, but when I don't laugh with her, she folds her arms over her chest and tilts her head. "Oh, shit. You're serious?" I nod. "Yeah, but if it's against policy, I totally get it. It's not a big deal." She waves a flippant hand. We don't really have a policy. We aren't a chain. We can hire whoever we want." To be honest, I'm obsessed with Orange is the New Black. So if you'll promise to let me know which parts of the show are bullshit, I'll give you an application. I could cry. Instead, I fake a smile. I've heard so many jokes about that show. I guess I need to watch it. Amy rolls her head. Yes, yes, yes. Best show, best cast. Come with me. I follow her to the customer service desk at the front of the store. She digs around in a drawer and finds an application, then hands it to me along with a pen. "If you fill it out while you're here, I can get you in for Monday orientation." I take the application from her, and I want to thank her. I want to hug her. I want to tell her she's changing my life. But I just smile and quietly take my application to a bench by the front door. I fill out my full name, but put quotation marks around my middle name, so they'll know to call me Nicole. I can't be wearing a name tag that says Kenna in this town. Someone will recognize it. Then they'll gossip. I get halfway through the first page when I'm interrupted. "Hey." My fingers clench the pen tightly when I hear his voice. I slowly lift my head, and Ledger is standing in front of me with a grocery cart full of about a dozen packs of Gatorade. I flip the application over, hoping he didn't already see my name across the top of it. I swallow and attempt to appear to be in a more stable mood than all the moods he witnessed from me yesterday. I gesture toward the Gatorade. Special at the bar tonight? A subtle relief seems to wash over him, like he was expecting me to tell him to fuck off. He taps one of the packs of Gatorade. T-ball coach. I look away from him, because for some reason that answer makes me uneasy. He doesn't look like a T-ball coach. Those lucky mothers. Oh no. He's a T-ball coach. Does he have a kid? A kid and a wife? Did I almost sleep with a married T-ball coach? I tap the pen on the back of the clipboard. Are you,
You aren't married, are you? His grin tells me no. He doesn't even need to say it, but he shakes his head and says, single. Then motions toward the clipboard on my lap. You applying for a job? Yep. I glance toward the customer service desk, and Amy is eyeing me. I need this job so bad, but I'm afraid this might make it look like I'm going to be distracted by sexy bartenders while I'm on the clock. I look away from her, wondering if Ledger's standing here talking to me is hurting my chances. I flip the clipboard back over, but tilt it so that he isn't able to see my name. I start writing in my address, hoping he walks away. He doesn't. He pushes his cart to the side so a guy can get around him, and then he leans his right shoulder against the wall and says, I was hoping I'd run into you again. I'm not going to do this right now. I'm not going to lead him on when he has no idea who I am. I'm also not going to risk this job by fraternizing with customers. Can you go? I whisper it, but loud enough for him to hear it. He makes a face. Did I do something wrong? No, I just really need to finish this. His jaw tightens, and he pushes off the wall. It's just that you act like you're mad, and I feel kind of bad about last night. I'm fine. I look back at the customer service desk, and Amy is still staring. I face Ledger and plead with him. I really need this job, and right now my potential new boss keeps looking over here. And no offense, but you're covered in tattoos and look like trouble, and I need her to think I'm not going to give her any issues at all. I don't care what happened last night. It was mutual. It was fine. He nods slowly and then grips the handle of his shopping cart. It was fine, he repeats, seemingly offended. For a moment, I feel bad, but I'm not going to lie to him. He put his hand down my jeans, and if we hadn't been interrupted, we probably would have ended up fucking. In his truck. How spectacular could it have been? But he's right. It was more than fine. I can't even look at him without staring at his mouth. He's a good kisser. And it's toying with my head right now because I have so many more important things going on in my life than his mouth. He stands silent for a couple of seconds and then reaches into a sack in his cart. He pulls out a brown bottle. I bought caramel, in case you come back. He tosses the bottle into the cart. Anyway, good luck. He looks uneasy when he turns and walks out the door. I try to continue filling out the form, but I'm shaking now. I feel like I've got a bomb strapped to me, and it ticks down in his presence, getting closer and closer to exploding my secrets all over him. I finish filling out the application, but my handwriting is sloppy because of my trembling hands. When I return to customer service and hand it to Amy, she says, Hey, your boyfriend? I play dumb. Who? Ledger Ward. Ward? The bar is called Ward's. He owns the bar? I shake my head, answering Amy's question. No, I hardly know him. Shame. He's a hot commodity around here since he and Leah broke up. She says that like I'm supposed to know who Leah is. I guess in a town this size, most people know most people. I glance back at the door Ledger disappeared through. I'm not in the market for a hot commodity, just a lukewarm job. Amy laughs and then browses my application for a moment. Did you grow up here? No, I'm from Denver. I came here for college. That's a lie. I never went to college. But it's a college town, and my intentions were to eventually go. That just never happened. Oh yeah? What's your degree in? Didn't finish. That's why I'm back. I lie. Registering for next semester. This job is perfect for that. We can work around your classes. Be here Monday at 8 for orientation. Do you have a driver's license? I nod. Yeah, I'll bring it. I leave out the fact that I just got my driver's license last month after months of working to get it reinstated. Thank you. I try to say that with as little eagerness in my voice as possible. But so far, things are working out. I have an apartment and now a job. Now I just need to find my daughter. I turn to walk away, but Amy says, "Wait, do you want to know how much you're making?" Oh, yeah, of course. Minimum wage. Ridiculous, I know. I don't own this place, or I'd raise it. She leans forward and lowers her voice. You know, you can probably get a job at the Lowe's warehouse. They pay twice that starting out. I tried online last week. They won't hire me with my record. Oh, bummer. Well, see you Monday then. Before I go, I tap my fist on the counter and ask a question I probably shouldn't ask. One more thing. You know the guy I was talking to, Ledger? She raises an amused brow. What about him? Does he have kids? Just a niece or something. She comes in here with him sometimes. Cute girl, but I'm pretty sure he's single and childless. A niece? Or could it be his deceased best friend's daughter? Does he shop here with my daughter? I somehow force a smile through the onslaught of emotions suddenly spiraling through me. I thank her again, but then I leave in a hurry, hoping by some miracle Ledger's truck is still outside and that my daughter is in the truck with him. I look around the parking lot, but he's already gone. My stomach sinks, but I can still feel the adrenaline disguised as hope running through my body. Because now I know he coaches t-ball, and DM more than likely plays on his team, because why else would he coach if he doesn't have children of his own? I debate going straight to the t-ball field, but I need to do this right. I want to speak with Patrick and Grace first. Chapter 10. Ledger. I'm in the dugout pulling the equipment out of the bag when Grady slips his fingers through the chain-link fence, gripping it. So, who was she? I pretend not to know what he's talking about. Who was who? The girl you had in your truck last night. Grady's eyes are bloodshot. It looks like the night shift change is taking a toll on him. A customer. I was just giving her a ride home. Grady's wife, Whitney, is standing next to him now. At least the rest of the mom brigade isn't with her, because I can tell immediately by the way she's looking at me that everyone on the t-ball field is already talking. I can only be confronted by one couple at a time. Grady said you had a girl in your truck last night. I shoot Grady a look, and he holds his hands up helplessly, like his wife yanked the information out of him. It was no one, I repeat. Just giving a customer a ride home. I wonder how many times I'm going to have to repeat this today. Who was she? Whitney asks. No one you know. We know everyone around here, Grady says. She's not from here, I say. I might be lying. I might be telling the truth. I wouldn't know since I know very little about her, other than what she tastes like. Destin has been working on his swing, Grady says, changing the subject to his son. Wait till you see what he can do. Grady wants to be the envy of all the other fathers. I don't get it. T-ball is supposed to be fun, but people like him put so much competitiveness into it and ruin the sport. 2 weeks ago, Grady almost got into a fight with the umpire. He probably would have hit him if Roman hadn't pushed him off the field. Not sure getting that heated over a t-ball game is a good look for anyone. But he takes his son's sports very seriously. Me? Not so much. Sometimes I wonder if it's because DM isn't my daughter. If she were, would I get angry over a sport that doesn't even keep score? I don't know that I could love a biological child more than I love DM, so I doubt I'd be any different when it comes to their sports. Some of the parents assume that since I played professional football, I'd be more competitive. I've dealt with competitive coaches my whole life, though. I agreed to coach this team specifically to prevent some competitive asshole from coming in and setting a bad example for DM. The kids are supposed to be warming up, but DM is standing behind home plate, shoving T-balls into the pockets of her baseball pants. She's got 2 in each pocket, and now she's trying to shove a 3rd in. Her pants are starting to sag from the weight. I walk over to her and kneel. "Dee, you can't take all the T-balls." "They're dragon eggs," she says. "I'm going to plant them in my yard and grow baby dragons." I toss the balls one at a time to Roman. That's not how dragons grow. The mama dragon has to sit on the eggs. You don't bury them in the yard. DM bends forward to pick up a pebble, and I notice she has 2 balls stuffed down the back of her shirt. I untuck her shirt, and the balls fall to her feet. I kick them to Roman. "Did I grow in an egg?" she asks. "No, Dee, you're a human. Humans don't grow in eggs. We grow in..." I stopped talking, because I was about to say, "We grow in our mothers' bellies," but I'm always careful to avoid any talk of mothers or fathers around DM. I don't want her to start asking me questions I can't answer. "What do we grow in?" she asks. "Trees?" Shit. I put my hand on DM's shoulder and completely ignore her question, because I have no idea what Grace or Patrick has told her about how babies are made. This isn't my wheelhouse. I wasn't prepared for this conversation. I yell for all the kids to go to the dugout, and luckily, DM is distracted by one of her friends and walks away from me. I blow out a breath, relieved the conversation ended where it did. I dropped Roman off at the bar to spare him a trip to McDonald's. And yes, we're at McDonald's, even though DM didn't wear her cleats at all during the game, because she gets her way with me more often than she doesn't. Choose your battles, they say. But what happens when you never choose any? "I don't want to play t-ball anymore," DM says out of the blue. She's dipping her French fry into honey when she makes that decision. The honey dribbles down her hand. I try to get her to eat her fries with ketchup because it's a lot easier to clean. But she wouldn't be DM if she didn't do everything the hardest way possible. "You don't like t-ball anymore?" She shakes her head and licks her wrist. "That's fine. But we only have a few more games, and you made a commitment." "What's a commitment?" "It's when you agree to do something. You agreed to be a part of the team. If you quit in the middle of the season, your friends will be sad. You think you can make it through the rest of the season? If we can have McDonald's after all the games." I narrow my eyes in her direction. Why do I feel like I'm getting swindled? "What does swindled mean?" she asks. "It means you're trying to trick me into getting you McDonald's." DM grins and eats her last fry. I put all our trash on the tray. I grab her hand to lead her out of the store and remember the honey. Her hands are as sticky as a fly trap. I keep wet wipes in my truck for this very reason. A couple of minutes later, she's buckled up in her booster seat and I'm scrubbing her hands and arms with the wet wipe when she says, "When is my mom getting a bigger car?" She drives a minivan. How big of a car does she need? "Not Nana," DM says. "My mom. Skylar said my mom never comes to my t-ball games, and I told her she will when she gets a bigger car." I stop wiping her hands. She never brings up her mother. This is twice in one day we've brushed the conversation. I guess she's getting to that age. But I have no idea what Grace or Patrick has told her about Kenna,
and I have absolutely no idea why she's asking about her mother's car. Who told you your mom needed a bigger car? Nana. She said my mom's car isn't big enough, and that's why I live with her and No-No. That's confusing. I shake my head and throw the wipes in a sack. I don't know. Ask your Nana. I close her door and text Grace as I'm circling around to the driver's side of my truck. Why does DM think her mother isn't in her life because she needs a bigger car? We're a few miles away from McDonald's when Grace calls. I make sure not to answer it on speaker. Hey, DM and I are on our way back. It's my way of letting Grace know I can't say much on my end. Grace sucks in a breath, like she's getting ready for a long explanation to my text. Okay, so last week, DM asked me why she doesn't live with her mother. I didn't know what to say, so I told her she lives with me because her mother's car isn't big enough to fit all of us. It was the first lie I could come up with. I panicked, Ledger.
I'd say so.
We plan on telling her, but how do you tell a child her mother went to prison? She doesn't even know what prison is. I'm not judging, I say. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. We should probably come up with a more accurate version of the truth, though. I know. She's just so young. She's starting to get curious. I know. Just, if she asks again, tell her I'll explain it to her. I did. Prepare for questions. Great, she says with a sigh. How did the game go? Good. She wore the red boots and got McDonald's. Grace laughs. You're a sucker. Yeah. Tell me something new. See you soon. I end the call and glance into the back seat. DM's face is full of concentration. What are you thinking, D? I want to be in a movie, DM says. Oh yeah? You want to be an actress? No, I want to be in a movie. I know. That's called being an actress. Then, yeah, that's what I want to be. An actress. I want to be in cartoons. I don't tell her cartoons are just voices and drawings. I think you'd be a great cartoon actress. I will be. I'm gonna be a horse, or a dragon, or a mermaid. Or a unicorn, I suggest. She grins and looks out her window. I love her imagination, but she definitely didn't get it from Scotty. His mind was more concrete than a sidewalk.